Hello and welcome to Bollocks. I mean, I just looked for that, whatever number it was. What was it? Season 4, episode 3.
Yes,
Cool.
good job.
That's fine. That's my one job done for the day. Can I leave you to the rest of it now?
You did it so well.
I did. I mean, it's like one of those little comedy shows. Was it Saturday Night Live? If you don't mess it up and from the start, then it's not really happening.
And we don't edit out mishaps and F-bombs or anything here.
It really depends. I mean, that episode the amount of editing we had to do on that, and that was just because
That was just not getting fired, though. That's
Yes.
a big difference. Yes.
Yeah. And he's not been fired yet, so that was 2 months ago. He's not been fired. He's not coming to me asking for a job yet, so
We're all good.
yeah, I think that's not too bad. So yeah, we're episode 3. We spoke with Will McClendon.
McClendon IV.
Yeah, Will McClendon the Fourth, and
Wow.
Mike Hartley. But we have a lovely guest today who we're going to invite on to say hello. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So it's good because it's a podcast. Nobody actually sees who it is, so they've heard the voice and they have no idea who it is. So would you like to do a little intro to yourself?
I would indeedy. So hi, everyone. It's Melissa Hale here, coming in from Liverpool. I am a Power Platform developer for the wonderful Curve, and I've been in Power Platform for about 3.5 years or so now.
So I'm going to ask the question because you've said Liverpool.
Yes.
Sports.
Trigger word.
Are you a Liverpool supporter?
I am by default, yes. Fun little bit of Mel lore for you. I actually used to work at Everton Stadium as a security guard, and all my family are red, so that made dinners very interesting when I had to come back from the enemy camp.
Did you have to wear Everton gear?
I was in a suit, so I actually used to have bright red hair at the time, so I used to come onto site with bright red hair and my suit, and all, as we call blue noses, all the blue noses used to get very, very annoyed that I was bringing red into their treasured Evertonian. That was the little ha-ha.
I like it.
Wasn't on purpose.
I don't know if you can see the small here, but this is Anfield replica. Yes.
So on the audio-only podcast, Malin is visibly pointing to Anfield. Yes, helpful.
Yes, I have. Maybe we can put that in the show notes. That would annoy the fuck out of Mark.
Oh,
I'll just ask you what the score was last night.
At the time of this episode airing, it was probably good.
No, it wasn't. You probably beat a game. I could put this podcast out every single week and it would still be relevant with that comment right now. So don't even get me going.
It's not been the best season, but at least we won last year, so we're good. It's been a lot of pain. Yeah.
Yes, it is great. It's great living with a Liverpool fan because it's like Comedy Central right now. So I quite enjoy that. So really, as a random thing, I mean, is that a good place to start? You're working as a security guard, because we don't normally do research because it's usually people we know. We've met a couple of times at a couple of events. We know absolutely nothing else about you. So I did do a little bit of research and a little bit of stalking. Digital footprint's a scary thing nowadays. The amount of things you can find out is quite interesting. Be worried. You've got an hour and a half, so you can be as very afraid as you want. But yeah, one of the things was, like, previously it said security, so I didn't know if security was you actually worked as a bouncer or if it was that. So but your journey into tech hasn't really been a normal journey. It doesn't seem to be, anyway.
You didn't start school going, I want to do tech, and then you did tech at school, and then you were done, and now you do tech.
So, nope, absolutely not. I I actually, one of my old, like, it's not roommates, but in university in the UK, like, you have 6 people in like a flat, and like you all share like a kitchen. I think 3 of my flatmates were all in tech. They were all doing computer science, and I was with the biologists. We were doing zoology, which is, I don't think there's going to be any zoologists listening to this, but the Mickey Mouse of the biology subjects. Everyone makes fun of it. It's like, oh, so you want to be a zookeeper? Fun fact: it's actually really hard to be a zookeeper. I've got friends who, like, every year they get like seasonal jobs, and it takes so much effort, so much research. So it's actually really hard to be a zookeeper. Anyway, yeah, so I wanted to be a zoologist, which basically I wanted to be Steve Irwin, but not quite as mad.
Or not quite as dead.
Also, that I was definitely going to avoid the stingrays. To this day, I'm still scared of stingrays. More so probably than crocs.
Okay.
Just can't trust them. No, I get the little creatures. But yeah, so I wanted to be a zoologist, or I wanted to go into some kind of sciencey, researchy field. It was a big joke when I was younger because I was quite shy. My dad used to joke about me just going off to some like Arctic research lab in the middle of nowhere, and just me and the penguins. That was going to be my ideal job. They weren't hiring. Sad time. And yeah, I wanted to, get a PhD and do all this cool science stuff, and we could probably dig into that a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't do the typical get your IT GCSEs, do it in college, do it in uni, and then go do an internship and end up at a Big Four or something. That's not the way it went.
So, super important question. What is your favorite animal?
Oh, I love that question. Am I allowed to say my cat, or is that cheating?
Apart from your cat, what's your favourite animal?
Yes.
Apart from my cat, who is my special baby boy, he's actually his 3rd birthday today. I would say my favourite animal is probably a zebra, because I did a research project on them when I worked at Blackpool Zoo, and they're really cool and fascinating creatures. They're also quite aggressive, as I found out when I used to sit and watch them. They just beef over nothing. Like, I've never seen just 2 animals in this massive paddock, no issues whatsoever, and then one will just come over and kick shite out the other one, and then they just get on with their day.
Sounds like Mark.
I have never thought of zebras being that way in the slightest. They always just look so placid. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I mean, is it like turf wars, or does like the number of stripes they have anything to do with it, or do they just
Are they just hunt?
I think it's more the one Malin said. Because I also am a horse rider. I do a lot of horse riding, and when I was younger, I was like, oh, why don't people ride zebras? They're basically a horse with stripes. People have tried and people have failed. No one has succeeded, to my knowledge, because they're just angry little buggers. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. I like the internalized rage, but they look really cute on the outside. There's something I really identify with that. Yeah.
Is there a scientific reason, or are they just mental? Are they just batshit?
I think it's got something to do with being a prey animal. Obviously, prey animals sort of live in this world of, if it's not my immediately family member or a piece of food, I can't trust it. So, they just lash out first and run. That's pretty much how they're programmed.
Cool.
What is a day in the zoo like? Like, I'm fascinated. Like, animals, we absolutely love animals. So this is going to be an animal episode. I can see. But like, genuine, like day to day, like we watch. I mean, we watch a lot of shit on TV, but like, there's a very back in Scotland, next to us. There's a safari park right next to us. It's like 20 minutes away. My niece and my nephew go there like every single week. They've got a season pass and they just go every week. They speak to the animals every other week, and it's just mad. Like, in a day to day working there, like what is the actual jobs that you would do?
Oh, I love that question. Also, I love the fact that zoos have season passes, and if you live close enough to want to have one, I highly recommend it, because it's what's better than like a random Tuesday night going to the zoo. I'm actually lucky enough. My friends work at Knowsley Safari Park, which is about 15 minutes from me, so I do get to go in for free every now and again, which is a big
You
perk.
get to go and watch the zebra boxing on a Thursday night.
They do have zebras at Knowsley. Yes, I couldn't go watch the zebra boxing if I want to, or the other, like, basically anything with hooves. They've just got some repressed rage in my experience. But yeah, typical day in the zoo. When I was doing it, I was a research intern, so I was at the research department, so it wasn't quite as fun. But if we were doing our keeper day, which they kind of had to give us, otherwise no one would take these internships because they were very dry. You'd get there maybe 6:30, 7 in the morning, so I used to ride my bike over there. Then you'll, suit up, boot up, make sure you've got your overalls on and your wellies, and then you tend to do the food prep first. So I did reptiles, which was actually reptiles and birds, which again, the whole dinosaurs and birds thing kind of makes sense. But so you'd go in, you'd go to the food prep kitchen, and apologies to anyone listening to this who's squeamish, it's going to get a little bit gross, but they used to bring in this big cardboard box of frozen chicks. So like 1 or 2 day old chicks that had obviously come off the lot. Stick it in front of me, they give me a cutting board, they give me a knife, and we had to cut them into 3 because they were too big to be fed to the specific animals we were feeding them to. I'm trying to remember which lizards it was. Lots of snakes and like Gila monitors. Do we have Gila monitors? Gila monitors, Nile monitors, stuff like that. So we'd have to chop these chicks up. The first couple of times I did it, I nearly gagged. And then sort of as the weeks went by, you get a little bit more desensitized to it. Later on, went to work on a farm. That really helped with the desensitizing. But it can be just an animal episode, guys. I'm really into this. So yeah, we had to chop these up and prep them. And then I got to prep the salads for the giant tortoises. That made me happy because I was just there ripping up lettuce leaves. And I used to just go in and like spread it around. I believe they had at the time a giant tortoise. I'm forgetting all the species names because it's been so long, but it was from the Galapagos. You know, the really, really big ones?
Yeah.
And his name was Darwin, after Charles Darwin. And you just used to get to feed him by hand. He was a little cutie. It was great. But yeah, you do all the food, and then you'd basically load it all into these wheelbarrows, and then you'd walk around the zoo with the wheelbarrow and basically dole out the food. Some enclosures were nicer than others. So, for example, we used to give the lorikeets this like milk nectar sort of situation that used to just mix up out of a pan. That was really cute, watching them all eat it. And then some of the more predatory birds, you sort of just had to throw it and run. Yeah, some of the bigger birds really scared me, actually. Then you go back and write some reports. You might go and do, I did a couple of talks where, where they do like the sea lion shows or the birds of prey shows, parrot shows, that kind of thing. We'd do some of those. Maybe take some questions, do some pictures for the kids, things like that. And then you do your second round of feeding for the night, do all the night checks, make sure everything's locked, and then that's really the end of the day. You just spend your whole day feeding animals and cleaning, really.
Sounds normal.
Where were we recently? We were on holiday somewhere and we were actually getting to feed the monkeys, the tortoise.
Yeah, Tenerife.
Tenerife, yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, that like feeding what was there? There's the monkeys,
tortoises, guinea pigs. There were some birds, but you couldn't feed them, I don't think.
The guinea pigs were a bit mental though. The guinea pigs would follow you around for food. They were just
depending on which food you had, because it was it was fun. Yeah. I would I would totally work in a zoo if I wasn't doing this. It was fun.
I think that would be a good one. Chopping up the chicks, did that make you get into a little bit of axe throwing at all? Or are they just totally unrelated?
Oh, I see you've somehow come across my axe throwing in your research. No. That's a good segue. I liked it. No, the axe throwing predated the chopping up the chicks, I promise. I wasn't like getting my co-workers to throw the chicks up and then just throwing off some tomahawks. That wasn't... I don't know if that would have made it more or less morbid.
I don't know. I think that would make the days a lot shorter. That's one way to make it go as quick as you can.
And get HR involved, probably.
Yeah,
somebody that's not an animal with it, I think you'd be fine.
But I mean, potentially also more closer to dead.
Yeah.
The axe throwing. So for the listeners who haven't cyberstalked Melissa, and I'm sorry because people are probably going to now, axe throwing. Explain.
Yes. So I think the first time I did axe throwing was when I worked at a summer camp in California, which was an amazing experience. I went there to teach well, I went there to teach horse riding officially, but I actually said to them, I'll only take this job if you let me teach myself horseback archery and then teach the kids. And these absolute lunatic Californians agreed. So thank you, summer camp that know who you are. That was an amazing summer. Thank you so much. And as part of the orientation, which was 3 weeks of training, it was the most intense training for any job I've ever done, and it was a summer camp. We actually learned a bunch of random skills, which included, but are not limited to, slacklining. What's the one when you rappel down the wall? I think it's just rappelling. Like, you climb the wall and you rappel down. Candle making, axe throwing, archery, and then horseback archery after me and the other girl taught ourselves how to do it and trained the horses to do it. And somehow a bunch of people let us put their children on these horses and do horseback archery with absolutely no qualifications whatsoever. So yeah, that
How
was
have
fun.
you not killed somebody or been sacked from somewhere?
Huh?
How have you not killed somebody or been sacked from a job yet?
Yeah.
Clearly your cyber stalking wasn't deep enough. No, I'm kidding. That is an excellent question. I like not being in prison, as annoying as some people may be.
Right, so
I mean, out of all that training, candle making.
Yeah, that was a bit of a random one. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we had to do arts and crafts on Sundays because we had like a parents' weekends and like low energy yoga retreat type things as well on like the off season either side. So they just kind of had to fill out the roster.
So when it's not learn to kill
tie-dye.
someone, it's yeah.
The cozy hobbies.
Yeah.
horseback archery, right?
That sounds
Yeah.
cool.
What are you aiming at? Is it the same targets as you would in archery? Like, I want to learn how to ride a horse just to be able to shoot arrows off the back of it now.
You first need to not be terrified of horses too.
Right. So there is a reason I'm terrified of horses, right? When I was younger, my granny took me to feed horses, fed it carrots. I had my fingers slightly curled up. Yep.
Dumbass.
And it took some chunks and I had to get some stitches on 4 fingers. So that's going to make you not. I'm not afraid of them. I just wouldn't necessarily go for a meal with one of them.
I think you would.
Eat the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was part of that meal. Yep. But what is horseback archery? Obviously, riding a horse and archery. But is it just as it sounds? Are you just aiming at the archery, like the target boards, or are you?
So there's a couple different ways you can do it. The way that I taught myself, which is probably completely wrong, is we actually had padding on the end of the arrows. This was mostly a safety thing and to make sure that my boss actually did let us do this with children. So they were padded, we had them dipped in paint powder, and then they hit barrels that we had very hastily painted some targets on. The way it would work is, so where you do ground archery, you tend to stand still and the target, you can have moving targets, but you know, you've got a target at the end and you pull back and you shoot, right? You stay still, target stays still. I love horseback archery because the target stays still, but you don't. So, well, you stay still on the horse, but the horse moves. So usually you'll have a track and it's typically either 3 or 5, depends if you're doing a 3-shot or a 5-shot track. And they'll all be angled slightly differently. So your first shot is usually, so you have to turn back on the horse and shoot. Your second shot ideally would be kind of as you're coming across it, or maybe slightly before or after. And then your final one, because it's just before the end of the track, you would have to shoot forward. But obviously you can never. So imagine you're sat on a horse, right? So there's a head here. Your arrow and your bow can only do kind of a 180 degrees. You obviously can't. I mean, maybe if you're a real pro and not constrained by safety, health and safety, but you really shouldn't ever go over the horse's head. You should, it's a safety issue. So you make sure the people are always on that side and you never go over the horse's head. But yeah, the great thing is a lot of the horses, that they know their job, they're trained really well, and basically I've taken people to do horse archery who've never ridden a horse before, and people who've done archery, and they've actually been better at it than like myself and some other people who come from the horse side, which is very frustrating. Someone who's been riding for many decades.
So are you the Scouse Katniss Everdeen? Is that basically
Sure, afraid.
what you are? Okay, that's fine. At least we know the episode title now. At least we've got that in there somehow.
Yeah. So if anyone needs a member for their post-apocalyptic zombie team, I'm in high demand.
I mean, yeah, archery on horseback and throwing axes and knowing how to handle animals and tech. I mean, what more do you need? Are you a good chef?
Absolutely not. Anything.
Okay.
I'd ask anybody I've ever cooked a meal for. They politely eat it and then usually order takeout.
Yeah. Okay. So you can
Not a
feed the animals, but not yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can feed myself. I'm not fussy. I'll eat. The term "girl dinner" is very popular in this house. Handful of cheese and crackers, cereal. But to be an adult and actually cook adult meals is not a skill that I've yet refined.
Still time. Still plenty of time.
Any good at coffee making?
Oh, I make a fantastic coffee, Mark. Why'd you ask? I'm actually one right now.
What's the cup we've got there? What's that one?
So this is Cowboy Coffee Co. from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is, by the way, one of the best places in the world. Highly recommend the coffee shop as well. It's probably one of the most beautiful national parks in the world, Grand Teton National Park. I went there last September. Spent 2 weeks there. Never wanted to come back. I just run into the mountains and leave me there, although the bears did scare me.
No, obviously the reason the stalking recently gives a reason to why I'm asking.
Everyone is now going to just.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes. Sorry.
What is all of this? How pictures?
LinkedIn analytics just gonna be like, whoa.
Yes.
Please stalk carefully and don't be intrusive. I think is the best one. Was it last year, the year before? Actually, we were in the first ever Starbucks. So we were in Seattle. So we went to the first ever Starbucks. It was weird. It's
Small.
It's
and
the
cute.
smallest, the smallest shop. People queuing outside before it even opens just to go in.
But I mean, the benefits of jet lag is you're up super early anyway, so it's a good time too. Yeah. And speaking of Seattle, you just became MVP, did you not?
I did. What was it for? Yeah, because the next round has just come out. So yeah, I've been an MVP for 1 month now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Don't know how that happened. Thank you, Microsoft.
Congratulations. That is awesome. How did that journey start?
Excellent question. I was actually talking to, I feel like I'm just going to name drop now because all the people who were involved in that, but I was at Nordic Summit in 2024 and I met the wonderful Ulrika, who is one of my favorite people ever. And I was really slow going to like one of the sessions. I think I was getting coffee or something. And I was talking to another attendee and she kind of just came up and grabbed us and was like, hey, come do an interview for us. So we went to this little room with her and Benedict and, they asked some questions and the general bits and pieces they do and asked about how the conference had gone and how we got there, where we came from. And afterwards, I had this weird sense of confidence that had been instilled in me, which was a terrible decision. So I blame Ulrika for everything that happened after this point. And then at the end of the conference, Magnus was running like a game show and he asked for volunteers from the audience. And it's one of those things where I remember it happening. I remember the question. I don't remember my hand going up. But I put my hand up and then he pointed at me. And then I had to get on a stage in front of, I don't know, like 500 people in Norway.
Mm-hmm.
And I got them all to chant Liverpool. And that's probably my greatest accomplishment to date. Sorry,
Oh, I remember this now.
Were you there?
Yes, we were there. We live in Norway, but it's literally like two. So, based on that, though, you mentioned Magnus. How's your Danish?
Jeg forstår ikke... No, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, it's right.
Jeg forstår lidt dansk.
Veldig bra.
It's okay. I haven't used it in a while. I left Denmark in 2022. I think it was when they told me to leave because Brexit. They kicked me out. That wasn't fun.
So did you actually get kicked out at that point?
So I was, because basically what happened was I was living there when Brexit went through.
Okay.
I was working as a research assistant at Denmark Technical University, which was an amazing time. I had a great time. I was studying snake venom. That was cool. And I was trying to keep my visa, or like, because there wasn't a visa as such, but I was trying to extend my residency. It was a weird process.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them all these documents, and I said to them, I'm going back to England to get this PhD, but then I want to come back, and I'm going to be a researcher, and I've got a job lined up, and it's going to be great. And then they called me on like the 3rd of January, 2023 or something, maybe it was 23, and said, leave, you have 1 month to get out the country. So, yeah, Brexit.
Yeah, that process isn't fun, is it, Mark? You know all about that.
Oh yeah, I when I applied for my visa for here, I was told that I was not a skilled worker. I'm like one of only 5 people in the world that can do what I can do. But it was actually UDI didn't understand what field service was and what the Microsoft ecosystem was, so I had to like really dumb it down to to get my 1 year visa, and then we got the 1 year visa, and then it was like you should apply 6 months in advance of your visa expiring for a new one. Expire so 6 months, go in, have my meeting. A week later, I'm then given the visa for the rest of the 2.5 years. I'm like, okay, just so random.
Yeah, but it was like declined first, and then we had to appeal for it, and just yeah. So, but you haven't done enough school, and you haven't done enough training. And he's like, well, I deliver training, like I
I
yeah.
literally wrote the exam on field service. I mean, I can't sit an exam that I wrote myself.
You could, but it would be cheating, surely.
No, you're not. You're actually not allowed to. If you
Oh,
write a Microsoft exam, you're not allowed to teach it for 6 months, and you're not allowed to sit that exam.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's good because you also get the accreditation. So I don't even sit the exams. I just write the exams so that I get the accreditation. I'm lazy that way. You get paid
That's
for it.
smart, though. That's smart.
Yeah, you get paid for it, so you don't have to actually sit the exam. It works well.
Okay. So
Well, I'm
what
very glad.
happened? Yeah, sorry. So what happened when you were kicked out of Denmark? Like,
Oh, this one was fun. We're going to get slightly personal here. So I was actually seeing a Danish man at the time who will remain anonymous, and you can stalk all you like. I guarantee you will never find that. Um, but I was seeing a Danish man at the time, so obviously I was planning to live there with him and stay there with him. We had a big falling out, very close to me getting my visa denied. And fun fact, he also worked for border control, so this makes it even extra funny.
oh,
And when I was leaving to go back to the UK, they were asking for my residence permit, which is like a little pink card, I believe. I actually never got it. I had my student court, which is like the health card, but I never got my residence permit. So I had the student card, student here as in health. I gave that to the border control agent. She looked at me, she looked at her colleague, like went off to the back for a little bit. I was like crying into my iced coffee. It was a horrible morning.
oh.
And then she asked for my passport. I handed my passport. She goes away again. And then they come up to me and start telling me that I've overstayed my like 90 days and 180-day window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? No. I've been living here and like traveling back and forth. And then they weren't really speaking to me. They just kept photocopying pages in my passport and like having a very serious conversation in Danish, of which I could only understand about 20% of the words because, as we just established, my Danish is really bad. So I'm ringing my ex-partner on the phone while they're doing this, trying to get him to help me, and he basically just keeps hanging up the phone.
Oh.
Bear in mind, he was in border control. That's why I was, yeah. Anyway, awful human being. So yeah, they gave me all my stuff back and basically said, we'll be in touch. I'm having a panic attack on the plane, thinking I'm going to get arrested. I called Siri, I think they're called in Denmark, which is the like immigration people when I got back, and they were like, yeah, I don't know what that was all about. Like we we give you the paperwork, like you showed them the paperwork. And I was like, oh, good, they just wanted to give me a panic attack at the airport. That's fine. And I've been back to Denmark since and not been arrested. So
That's
hopefully
good.
I make it EPPC this year. Maybe this is the year they get me.
So if you never hear from Melissa ever again, look in Denmark.
Hopefully, there isn't a Danish version of ICE at the moment. That would you would just be vanished at that point.
I really hope not. Oh, I do have a fun one about when I was detained in Cuba once as a child. So my dad took me to Cuba when I was about 14, and he had a partner at the time, like a girlfriend, and they'd made a mistake on our boarding passes and printed her last name on the boarding passes.
Oh.
So we go into this like border control, like where they check the passports, but you walk in and it's like boxed in. And I didn't realize at the time, but you go in and they check it, and basically, if it's a no-no, shutters come down on both sides.
Oh shit!
And you're basically trapped. I don't think that's advertised about Cuba tourism. So, fun fact: if there's any mistakes, you're gonna have a bad time. These shutters drop down. I sound like a very panicky person. I'm usually not, but this was quite a terrifying experience. And my dad's trying to explain to the man in his very good Spanish, and I'm trying to understand in my very bad Spanish. There's a theme here. My languages are really bad. And yeah, we ended up getting detained and questioned. I think we were there for like 2 hours and nearly missed our plane home, all because of like a really simple typo.
Don't even. I can tell by Malin's face. She's like, has somebody else done that recently?
What happened? What could ever have happened, Mark?
So I genuinely have no idea how or what happened. We were checking in to go back to Scotland, and my ticket had Mark, and then it had like 17 M's at the end of it. And then it had Christie as the next part. They were not letting me board because my passport didn't match the name on the ticket. And we didn't have enough time to get back down to the Norwegian ticket desk for them to issue a new ticket. So they had to phone up like the Norwegian customer service, who had to create a digital ticket that updated on my app, and then I had to go in the app and then update it and run through. It was just absolutely mad. But yeah. So maybe try to. I mean, I never noticed it. It was just it happened. So
Easy done.
Yeah, that was a fun time. We've had a lot of fun flying. There was also the time when we came from the US, and I think we ran through probably, I think it was Stockholm or something. Like, we landed probably half an hour before our flight was scheduled to leave again, and you had to go through customs and everything. We ran through everything. We were probably the last people to come to the check-in desk. Like, Stockholm also, that's like an hour flight. And then they scan my boarding pass, all good, scan his boarding pass, and they're like, oh, it says you never left Vegas. Like, well, ta-da, I'm here. So, yeah, it's always fun flying with Mark.
yeah. So technically, I'm still in Vegas right now. So it's been the longest holiday I've ever had. What event was that? Was that MPPC or something like that?
So.
Yeah, so I'm technically still there because I've never. So I'm never going back to America because they're probably going to say I've overstayed my my visa or my welcome.
Been here for 3 years.
Is that how long Vegas? How long ago
I
Vegas
don't
was?
remember. I just took a number, probably something.
Okay. So coming back from Denmark, then did that make you look at what you're doing work-wise and kind of change careers, or how did that come about?
Yes. So again, I don't know how deep or personal you guys want to get on this podcast, but I
As
say
deep
it's
and
one of my
personal as
favorites.
you want to get, we can
Alrighty,
edit shit out or publicize it as much as you want.
Open book. Let's get the shovel. So basically, and I say it very nonchalant now because it's been 6 years, but just before that incident at the airport, my dad had passed away in England because I was trapped in Denmark. That was a whole thing. My dad had passed away, and I was due to come back and start a PhD in England. So I was kind of flying between the two as the context. And after, getting kicked out and being like, okay, I can't spend any more time in Denmark, I guess I better buckle up and start living in Liverpool properly again. And it's a great city, so, that wasn't so hard. But I was doing a PhD. I was pretty miserable. I used to have to live in what we called the poop room, because it was, so for context, the PhD was in veterinary parasitology, which, if you ever hear someone say they're a parasitologist, 90% they just deal with shit all day, because that's where most of the parasites live. Unless you're really unlucky and you get like a blood one, but for the most part, parasites like shit. So I was next to the poop room, so that was a delightful smell to come into 40 hours a week. My kid more like 60. And I basically used to, look down my microscope, count my parasites, put some venom on them, count them again the next day, see how many died. That was kind of my day to day, and it's about as boring as it sounds. Once the novelty of parasites wears off, it's shit and wiggly things and shit. That's what it was. And what made it worse was because it was COVID at the time. So this was 2021 or something. 21, 22. I get all my years mixed up, but if you stalk me on LinkedIn, you can probably figure it out. But 21, 22, and it was, still COVID times. People weren't really coming into the university. They weren't coming into the lab. It was really lonely. I started talking to the parasites, which is probably when I started to think, okay, this is not very good for my mental well-being.
Scientist totally embraced. Yeah.
Yeah, just went full mad scientist at that point. The white hair I dye my hair now, but there's plenty of white hair under here, don't worry. But yeah, it wasn't a good time. I didn't get on with my supervisor. She was, I don't have a politically correct word. She was just a bitch, honestly. She was awful. She once said to me, I don't know if you're dyslexic or just stupid.
Oh.
That was my favorite one she said to me. She was just not a very nice person. And this is the person that your PhD depends on. So after a lot of crying on my friends' couches and just sitting in my kitchen and questioning my life choices, I remembered a conversation I had with a friend in Denmark. She was actually Swedish, but it was in Denmark. And she told me about her uncle who was 55, and he decided to go train and be a doctor. At 55, he completely uprooted his life, changed his life, spent a load of money to get a qualification, and then he was happy. More to the story, but that's the short version. And something in it just clicked, and I was like, oh, I could just do something else. I could actually go and do something that makes me happy and that I enjoy. So then I spent a couple of weeks trying to figure out what I actually liked, which, other than video games, and I think I've aged out of being a Twitch streamer now. No?
Absolutely not. Twitch streamers, I'm going on a fucking rant now. Twitch streamers, these YouTubers that do all the games, like the Minecraft games and the Roblox games. So you know how you watch the scary movie Scream, etc., where they have 40-year-old people playing high school students? That is what these Twitch and YouTube streamers are like.
We have extensive research done on this part, thanks to my 9-year-old son, who watch everything all the time, and it's always the same weird. But yeah. I mean, mad scientist would probably fit into that Twitch streamer. Yeah, it would work. But yeah.
I've got a second backup career. That's good to know. Thank you for validating that, guys. But at the time, I was like, oh, I can't be a Twitch streamer. And also, I think you have to have some things you enjoy that you don't monetize, because otherwise you lose joy in everything, right? I love playing video games on a Saturday night. But yeah, so I came back to I really like the playing with the statistics and playing with the data of science. I just didn't like being in the poop room anymore, and I didn't like interacting with scientists anymore. No, I kid. Some of my best friends actually are doing PhDs right now, and they're lovely humans. But kind of there's the stereotype about tech people. There's a stereotype about academics, and it is very true. I'll leave that there. But yeah, and I found that I was enjoying playing on R, making graphs and things, ggplot, that kind of stuff. And I'd spent a lot of time in the programmer house in Denmark, which was this girl, Steffi, and her boyfriend and his friends. They were all programmers, and they were just living their best life. So I ended up Googling around and being like, what can someone with a background in STEM do with computers, and obviously coding came up. So I started watching some coding videos. I started playing with a bit of code, and then by absolute chance, like serendipity, I was on Instagram one day and there was an advertisement for a government-funded software engineering bootcamp. And originally, I'm sorry, my cat's scratching at the door. Originally, I thought that I wouldn't be eligible because I'd already had my bachelor's degree and my master's degree on student loans, but apparently I was. Thank you, UK government. They let me go do a 5-month coding bootcamp. And I actually got hired before I finished the bootcamp for a consultancy in Manchester. So I only actually did 3 months of my bootcamp and then kind of just had to make it up as I went along at my actual job.
That's what everyone else does anyway, so you're all good. Yeah.
Fine. Oh, I'm still making it up, 100%.
So straight
you'll never stop because that's just what we do constantly anyway. Even if you've been doing it for 15 years, you still bullshit with the best of them.
Yes, that's how you know you're a good consultant. It's if you can bullshit with confidence. Mm-hmm. But straight into developer. Coding.
It was a shock. Actually, my first interview and the job I really wanted, and no disrespect to Curve, I love that I'm at Curve now, but at the time I had visions of being a game designer, game developer. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed with a couple of game development companies. I actually got offered one of the jobs as a junior game dev, but I would have had to move to, what's it called? Guildford.
Guildford. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, like middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I just mentally couldn't do that. I've relocated for jobs before, and I didn't have I was like, no, as good as this job sounds, I can't do it.
So you've mentioned that you like gaming. What sort of games? I mean, you obviously Animal Crossing and zoo games, Zoo Tycoon, that sort of stuff. Is that your go-to games?
Oh, I will say I spent an ungodly amount of time on Zoo Tycoon as a child. I loved that game. I was obsessed with it. And then they came out with like the sequels later on, like the higher res ones. That was a great time. I have a disgusting amount of time locked into Animal Crossing New Horizons on my Switch. But I want to do a call out to Mark's shirt, which again, the lovely listeners can't see, but I can see that it's a Resident Evil shirt. I adore the Resident Evil franchise, even though I'm a massive wuss and I can't deal with horror. But Resident Evil 4 is probably one of my favorite games from my early days. I also believe it centers around a parasite infection, Resident Evil 4. I might be wrong. 4? I believe they're infected with some kind of parasite.
Yes, 4 is Village. Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. So, because the rest, obviously, the T-Riders? I'm not with my lord the games, yeah.
Yeah, Resident Evil is actually the first game that I ever completed. So the first ever game that I actually sat all the way through, got to the end, got in the train, got out of the underground bunkers, and yeah, that was the first one. The Requiem, something like that. The new Resident Evil actually came out on Monday. So
it did, yes. Yes, you're right.
I have not purchased that yet, but I can see the Xbox now glaring at me, so it might be downloaded by the time this podcast is finished.
This is a short podcast, we know why.
Yes, Mark's like, yeah, Resident Evil, on we go. We've got Resident Evil, then we've got the City game on after that as well. So we're all...
So much pain today.
Oh yes, it's all good. Any other games that you're playing? Resident Evil obviously is...
So many. I mean, I just got a Switch 2 for my MVP award, so my fiance actually bought me a Switch 2 for getting MVP, which was amazing. And I've been playing the Mario Kart World. What else have I been playing? Mario Kart World, and I just downloaded, this one's stupid, so I was a horse kid, obviously a horse girl. So they just came out with this stupid Barbie horse game. No disrespect to Barbie or horse games, but they're always terrible. And it was on sale for £15, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to download a really awful, shitty horse game and play it just for a laugh. I've probably put 24 hours into it in the last week. It's it's really dumb and stupid. Why am I still playing it though?
Yeah.
Says me that is what have I played recently? Crime Scene Cleaners. power washing some sort of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically
Simulator.
you power wash the cars and the patios and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I did
just
go out
the
and buy
patio.
I did go out and buy a power washer after that as well and wash the deck in, so that worked out quite well.
It inspired you.
It did. It inspired me. We power washed the decking. We painted the decking after that. Actually, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. And you haven't played the game since.
No, fuck that.
You're
Because
still
power
Yeah.
washing in Norway is a bit different because your fingers and your toes freeze if you're doing that sort of thing. Um, but
Weather's
what?
different. But we also have a couple of like 2-player games. Like It Takes Two, which is the best and worst thing ever because you have to actually work together to get it working. It's not like one can just do everything and then the other can follow. It's always one dumbass who cannot do something and then everything fucking fails and then you fall down a hole or then you like, can I just do it for you? Can we just switch controllers or something? So yeah, that's fun.
I loved It Takes Two. We played that I think over Christmas, and we're still together, so we made
Yeah.
it through the game.
Yep.
It was a good one, and Split Fiction as well was by the same developers, I believe.
Yeah. We're playing that right now. We haven't finished it yet.
Which
This
bit are you up to?
Oh God. Well, I don't know because somebody keeps taking us on all of the side quests, so I don't know how far through the actual game we are.
You have to do all the side quests. I mean, back when I was playing World of Warcraft as well, I did all the side quests and I did like the explorer map and all the things that everyone think is boring, and I just love all the side quests, and that's my thing. And yeah, needs to get done proper.
Yep. I think one of the one that likes the non-tech one, can't remember what her name is though. She's now talking about her dad at the moment.
Yeah, and how he's sick. And
Yes.
oh, that's the sci-fi woman. That's
Well,
you.
it's a sci-fi one. Yeah, that's me. Sorry, yes. How the dad is sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah. So now it's good. It's just something good to do together as well. It's fun, and if you get stuck, you just don't kill each other. Just turn it off. It's also a good one.
It's
Yeah.
actually quite scary. Of like, we'll stick it on for half an hour, and then it's like 16 hours later, and we're still playing it.
Yeah.
The one I'm looking forward to, we're heading back to Scotland at the end of the month. Um, I bought a Rockstar guitar, and we've bought Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Absolutely love those games. We used to have like I think calling it a gaming lounge is a little too bougie because I'm from Wigan originally. We didn't have any kind of lounge there, but there used to be a place where you could basically pay an admittance and then you could go play the games. I'm now realizing it was basically just some random person's apartment, I think, that they'd converted into. Oh, no, okay, we can't think about that too hard, guys. Let's just keep going. But you're basically in someone's house and they've converted some rooms into game rooms. We used to go there after high school, and the rock band room was piece de resistance, the best one.
So we're in Scotland currently converting the garage into a cinema room, with the projector, and that will turn into the games room as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we will
Yeah.
have the, what was it, a 2 meter drop down screen from the roof, and we'll just be sitting couches that turn into like as a sofa bed cinema room.
Black walls and
Yeah,
proper done.
we've got all the Scream artwork and everything to go up on the walls as well, so that'll be
Yeah.
that'll be
Now
good. Ready to
careful
go.
because everyone was going to be like, "Oh, Scottish Summit, let's go visit." There's no room for you, so don't.
It's an exclusive invite.
Yeah. But it's yeah, it's going to be good.
It's definitely going to be interesting. So obviously you went into, you done the 5 month boot camp. You got a job halfway through it. Um, were you set on the career being Microsoft at that point, or was it just a development job?
So at the time, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was just excited somebody wanted to hire me to be. My title was actually software engineer. I think I looked today to check what it was. if I'm being really honest, I was more of an office plant at that job because they didn't really have a lot for us to do. So what they did was and I'm not naming the company, but you can look on my LinkedIn. But they opened an office in Manchester as a like second or third location. They had offices in London and India, and they opened this office up, and they basically brought a bunch of new grads out. So I also was the oldest one there because they were all actually just graduated from university, and I'd done uni and done like another 5 years. But we went in, we had this manager, and I just remember it kind of felt like you were at school and the head teacher was watching you. He used to sit because it was just one room in like a big co-op building, and he had his desk at the front, and then there was us five like in front of him, but like back to back, and he just watched us all day. But we never had a lot to do. So I actually started doing certifications. So I always joke I was doing Power Platform, but if you bought it from Temu, which is QuickBase. No offense to QuickBase, I like QuickBase, but I like Power Platform a lot more. But yeah, because I didn't have a lot of actual client work to do, I think I only had one client, which if I used to come in the office 8 o'clock and didn't leave till 6, I had a lot of time to fill. So I started doing qualifications, and I kind of stumbled across Power Platform. And around the same time, I got approached by a recruiter who'd like seen my profile and was like, "Oh, you'd be a good fit for this Power Platform development junior role." And obviously got the job. It was a great time. I moved to that other company, learned a lot more. There was a lot more to do at that one. Like I did a lot of overtime for that company. Yeah, so I wasn't set on Microsoft probably until that moment. And then I was like, oh no, I really like this. I like building these apps. I like building these flows.
Yeah, it's actually something I've seen. I've worked at quite a few different partners before owning Proximo, and a lot of the time these companies get funding from either the government or Microsoft for retraining. And all of a sudden there'll be 10 people in the building who have gone through the retraining program and no work. And people haven't, a lot of the grads, when they come out, they've not got the experience to just be put on a project on their own because they don't know what a project is. So it's difficult to then place them without pairing people up. It is quite a common one. I mean, I can say incremental because they're dead now, can't I? We can drop that now. So when I was at Incremental, they done something very, very similar where they got funding for 10 people to retrain, and these were people who were females who had taken career breaks. And like we got amazing people out at the back of that, but there was just no work for them. So they sat there for 3 or 4 months with no work, doing nothing, and literally just got bored. And that was it. We lost people who had come in, done the training because they got jobs either what they were doing originally. Because I mean, it's like everything. When you've got a job, it's easier to get another job. And because they were in a job, they were employed, people were then talking to them, picking them up. Quite simple. I actually had one of them working on a project with me about 6 or 7 months ago as well. And it's good to see that some people are still in there and doing it.
But it's like, so I do a lot of training, and every year in Norway we have something called Microsoft University, which is grad students out of school. They apply for this Microsoft University. The Microsoft partners, or now customers, can apply to hire someone, and then they do interviews and everything. And once they're hired, then they go through in August, September. They have 6 weeks of training. So it's 4 weeks of certifications and training, like hard work, because you go through like 3 or 4 certifications on those 4 weeks. And remember, these are completely brand new, have never heard of about pretty much Power Platform or Microsoft before they applied for the job. So they're going from brand new to being like Power Platform certified and maybe Dynamic certified and having 2 or 3 certifications, and then 2 weeks of case where they get a case. You need to develop this and then do a presentation at the end of it. And it's really fun to see. But of course, because they're already hired, it's a lot easier to, they know where they're going, they know where who they're going to work with, and they get known, but then they get a kickstart, so they come into the company and they're like, yeah, okay, so I actually know this stuff because we've been through it, I've tested it out, I've tried the new technology, I've done all of this. So it's a, it all depends on how you do it and how you get started, because I think for anyone, like especially career switchers, if you get hired and then you're like, yeah, you sit here, good luck, we'll be back. It's like, no, thank you. It's just hard to to start and get that job. Um, but how was that when you started with the Power Platform? Because it's a lot. So how did you get, like, okay, so I wanna, like, first of all, how do you find out you want to be a developer? That's one thing, but how do you then find out that, okay, Power Platform is much better than any of the other things ever? Is it just luck?
I think some of it was luck. I said, so originally when I did my software engineering, I was like, I'm going to be a Python developer. I'm going to do Python things. That didn't pan out so well. Mainly because there wasn't really, other than like if I'd come kind of down the game side maybe, but they would probably want me to come to C sharp, is it? C?
Yeah.
Tell I'm a low coder by trade now. Um, but then I'd seen QuickBase as the first low code platform. I really didn't like it. I didn't think it was very intuitive. Is that the word I want? So at that point, I was almost like, oh, do I maybe go back and try and go back down the game development route? I was interviewing with some game development companies, but again, a lot of them want you to relocate. Um, and then I came across Power Platform just by chance. And I just found it a lot more interesting. I found, there was a lot more support behind it. Obviously, Microsoft is huge. It, I don't know, something just clicked with it. And I think I was very fortunate that my first job in the Power Platform was quite, I don't know what stage they were at. They weren't quite a startup, but they were, quite scrappy, quite hungry. They had a lot of different projects, a lot of different things. And I got thrown into lots of different projects very quickly and got to see, okay, well, this is Power Pages, this is Power Apps, this is model driven apps, this is Power BI. We don't like that. We put that over there. Power BI is not for me. And yeah, I got to see a lot of cool stuff. And now with obviously the last 2 years, the massive influx in AI and Copilots and Copilot Studio and GitHub for Copilot and all that stuff, like it's just, yeah, I couldn't imagine doing anything else now, which is crazy. When we started cleaning out reptile cages and we ended up here.
Yeah.
So if you were to choose a Power Platform component that's your favorite, that you would your go-to Power Platform component, what is it?
My favorite, even though there's a lot of contention about it at the moment, is always going to be Canvas apps.
Fucking boo.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I just love them. Like you can do, like I'm making some personal power ups at the minute just for fun because there's very limited need for them at my day job. It's moving to more towards model driven, and people are going to start looking into the generative pages and the vibe. I really want to get on the, is it vibe apps? I forget what the
vibe coding
URL is. Yeah, I really want to try some of that out. But I think Canvas apps is going to die a death in the short term, which is very sad. So yeah, my favourite's going to die.
Do you know what? I mean, I always take the piss out of Canvas apps. Canvas apps are really good for small, basic line of business things. They do a good job. They can be branded well, and for smaller companies, they work fine. They're not enterprise level solutions, but for what the need that they've got and what you can do with them and how nice, because like model driven apps just look boring as sin. They are boring. No matter how many times we do our look at the cool things you can do in model driven apps and all these PCFs that we do and stuff, is still the look and feel of it's exactly the same. A Canvas app can be tailored to the business, it can look nice. So there is a need for it, but yeah,
You just don't like it.
No.
And I mean that's kind of the beauty I feel as well of the Power Platform. it's just there's something for everyone here. Now, have you started looking into dynamics?
Absolutely not. And the funny thing is, if you look at my work contract, my role is D365 consultant, which I laugh because I've never used Dynamics. When I first joined, I offered to, like, oh, I can go look at the qualification, I can go do the exam, I could do, no, don't do that. You just do your little Canvas apps things, you stay over there, don't worry about it. I'm like, but I'm a Dynamics 365, and they're like, no, just you go over there, just don't worry about it. I would like to at some point, because I've seen some really cool talks at conferences, and there's some really cool stuff it can do. And I think I saw a talk in Vienna at Power Platform Bootcamp about, there was a cool Dynamics / Copilot functionality, and I've forgotten something. Project Sophia?
Yes.
Adjacent? Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, it's very late and I'm forgetting all the technical things. That's why when you guys said, oh, it's not a technical podcast, don't worry. I was like, oh, great, because by 6 o'clock I'm fried.
Yeah.
So you've gone from being a dev to being a consultant. Is that just consultant by title, or are you out gathering requirements, writing user stories now?
Yeah, so I gather requirements and I do user stories and I do breaking it down into tasks and things like that. I've got a really good project, so I'm 100% on one project. So we just have the one client. It's already a great relationship when I came in. We had a refinement sprint this morning that was quite fun. And it's actually, I'm really glad you asked that question, because I think, depending on like when you've seen talks or if anyone's seen talks by me, sometimes it says Power Platform Developer, sometimes it said Power Platform Consultant. And I think I've used it interchangeably until maybe the last 6 months, because I didn't really know the difference until I actually had to do consulty things. And I was like, oh, now I get it. But yeah, where would you say that line is between a dev and a consultant then?
That I think that could be like another podcast, another hour of this, because it's would you say, if you're a Power Platform dev, do you only do dev stuff? Like, do you only build? Is that everything you do? And as a consultant, do you, or is it the gathering requirement and everything? Is that more a BA? Or, and is a consultant somewhere in between? And are you a functional consultant or a technical there's too many
I'll
terms.
be whatever anyone pays me to be. I don't really care. What's that face for, Malin? I mean, if
I'm holding my tongue at this one, because I want to survive the night.
no, but there is like for me, there's two levels of dev. There's a developer who has to think about the code and think about the solutions and what you write. That's a developer. There's a coder who sits and just does repeatable code that codes units and does things like that, that you end up offshoring the work to and is done offshore. That's a coder. A developer always has to think about it. A developer has to think about taking the requirements and making that into something logical. That's for me what a developer is. It's a developer. There is a slight BA to it. There's also knowing the product as well. And sometimes as a dev, you have to ask the customer or ask the BA, what do you mean by this story? So I think it's difficult to say where the line starts and stops for that, because I know a lot of consultants who will do development work. Their titles are developers, but their titles are consultants, but they are doing build work. And is build work and configuration, is that actually dev work? Because Power Platform's a strange, or Power Platform and Dynamics a strange platform, because it's out and out dev work, yes, but there's also configuration and customization that can really be done by anyone. And are they devs if they can do customization and configuration? Because you're developing solutions on that platform. So it's a grey area. I think everyone does a little bit of everything.
I think it would also depend on the size of both the company and the project, I would think.
Yes. And if you look at the Well, so I don't know if you've looked at any of the Power Platform exams, like the PL600, which was the solution architect one.
I was studying for it. I was just about to book it in when they said they were retiring it, so I'm a little salty about that.
If do you know what? If it's there and it's not been retired yet, do it anyway. It's actually a really good one. It's the PL600 is actually the only, that and the field service one are the only courses I really like to teach, because the solution architect one is about people's opinions. It's about people's different points of view. There's not a right way or a wrong way apart from my way of doing it. But with the solution architect one, like the ideal project, they they give you like 17 different job roles that should be on a project. I'm like,
Mm.
I've been on enterprise level projects for billion-dollar companies who have had half of these roles, like change management project coordinator and like all these different stupid roles that you've never heard of. Like,
And you probably never need.
no, you don't, but it's just, yeah, what is the line? I think you're right. The size of the company that you're at probably determines what role you are. My One of my first jobs in Dynamics, I was the only CRM person. They were a NAV or BC company. So I was a CRM salesperson, I was a CRM support person, I was a CRM consultant, the dev, the BA, the tester. I was everything. I'd done every role. But as I grew in my career, I would maybe lose some of those jobs. I wouldn't do the testing part of it. I wouldn't do the sales. And then you become an out and out like solution architect at that point, because all you're doing is talking about it and you're not doing any of the actual doing. So yeah, it depends on the size of the company and the size of the customer.
And also what you like to do. Because not every career needs to have the same path, and maybe you love developing stuff and that's what you want to do. Not everyone has to talk to customers, not everyone is good at talking to customers, and not everyone has to like go the road and become a solution architect or go here or go there. There's a lot of places in the tech world for everyone. It doesn't really matter what you think you have to do, because it's all, well, if you like the role you're at, well, stay there, be happy. Pretty much. Yeah. Good moral of the story.
Have you, with the dev background, the working Power Platform, have you looked at PCFs, like building React PCFs?
I have actually. It was one of my OKRs for last year was to look into PCFs, and then the speaking kind of took off, and I ended up changing it out for present at XY conferences or that kind of thing. But it's something I would like to look into. As a self-proclaimed low codey, I would like by the end of this year to actually be able to do some real code. I'm actually working on a session at the minute looking at automated testing with Test Engine and Test Studio. So yeah, that's a goal for me this year. So maybe chuck PCFs in there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to seeing your next presentation on PCFs.
Thank you. I'll like down the line. Maybe that's quarter 3, quarter 4.
No, for me, PCFs are one of the cool things because PCFs allow you to build something once and then reuse it multiple times on, and it also allows you to give the consultants or the people doing the configuration, you build a PCF and then they can configure that in however they want to use that, what tables they want to use or what views, etc. So it's just like building component libraries in a Canvas app. You're just building something that you can reuse multiple different times, multiple different places.
Like plug and play.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's laziness. It's build it once and use it on 100 things, but it also means you can build 10 different customers for that same component once as well. That's probably why I like it more than anything. The reusability and billable side of
And the
things.
fact that you don't have to build it.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I just here is the very detailed specification that's usually written on the back of a post-it note or the back of a cigarette packet. Can you please build this PCF with a smiley face and me drawing some, this is how the PCF should look. But the people that I work with can actually decipher my absolute horseshit requirements, and are able to bring it. So you'd be able to look at the parasites that were within my requirements and then build something out.
I like it. That was a good callback.
Big shout out to Matt Beard and Carl Cookson for deciphering Mark's shit for parasites.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with my requirements, okay?
If you do say so yourself.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I know what I mean. It's not my problem that other people can't interpret what I am trying to say. So you think in future your consultancy is your bag? Do you enjoy interacting with the customers more than sitting in a basement coding? What do you like being out there and talking to people?
I'm lucky I at least now get to sit in my nice office that I redecorated when I got a 100% remote job. So I'm not in a basement anymore, which is good. But no, I do actually really enjoy interacting with customers. I like, this is not in my 9 to 5, but when I do some pro bono work for a charity called Collaboration for Kids. And one of my favorite parts of that job is just having conversations with people around, I keep wanting to say the business, the organization. And like we were having a conversation about AI because I'm running a bunch of AI adoption workshops for them and AI literacy, which I'm really excited about. And I was talking to this lady who is basically the assistant to the founder of the charity, and she was telling me this process, and I was listening to her talk about this process, and all I could think about was, we could build a really easy Power Automate flow for that, and it would make your life so much easier. And I tried to explain it back to her, and she's like, you can do that? It was just, it was like a highlight of my week last week. So yeah, I love those moments, like you can make my life better. That's obviously not in a corporate setting, but in a corporate setting it's still good, right? But I don't think you get the same like
you do.
shiny feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, you do.
Do you find now though that you're into the platform and you're speaking with customers and you're doing a lot of problem solving, that like your day-to-day life, you walk past something and you think, I mean, why are they doing that? They could just do X, Y, and Z.
100%. We actually had, I was on a call with our Power Platform lead today because we're working on a Canvas app at the minute. It was a model driven with a custom page in it. And basically you fill in an invoice and then there's a little toggle and it says show hidden fields. But the thing is, you have to fill those fields in, otherwise you can't submit the form. So why are they hidden? And we could not work out the logic behind why it was built this way. So we're actually going to go back to them and be like, hey, so can we just get rid of that toggle? Because you have to untoggle it every time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find that you just anything like it doesn't even need to be work related. You could be walking down the street or on a bus or anything, and you just think like you do realize you could save so much time by just and it genuinely frustrates me at times just how easy some of these things could be if people like picked up a platform or done something along those lines. So you've mentioned a few times that you've done some talks. How are you finding the talking? So you're talking about tech now. You're not doing the talking about reptiles and that. How do you find that? Is that giving you a confidence boost to learn more?
Oh, definitely. I think like if you'd said to me 2 years ago that I'd be giving talks to like, it varies from I've done like local user groups and then last year I did ESPC, so the big range there. If you told me 2 years ago I'd be doing that, I'd have been like, all right, pull the other one. So it wasn't expected, but I really enjoyed it. Definitely has given me a lot more confidence. It's definitely quieted my I can't speak. Made quiet my imposter syndrome, which I know is a big thing that like Dan Barber talks about, and my manager James Taylor, he talks a lot about it as well. So it's been really good for that. And just like I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn yesterday asking me for tips on giving a talk, which was wild. I hope their talk went really well. Yeah, no, it's been really good. I've enjoyed it, and I am trying to get more into techie talks, whereas I think previously my talks have been tech adjacent. So I talk about using tech for the charity as my most popular talk at this point. And this year I've challenged myself that I want to give at least 2 new technical talks.
So I mean, with the technical side of things, I find I don't really talk that much on technical. It's more the soft skills and how to do the speaking, or how to be in the community, or how to run businesses. So I think there's a place in the community and the and all the talks for both sides of things. I don't think there's necessarily one good way or the other. So have you got any speaking engagements coming up?
Yes, I'm actually off to Canada in 3 weeks to do Power Platform Canadian Summit in Vancouver. I'm really excited about that one. I've never been to Canada before, and there's a bunch of cool people going.
That's good.
And then I don't. And then I've got .NET Liverpool in April, which is a wild one because I didn't know those guys existed. They reached out to me. That's going to be super fun because it's literally 15 minutes down the road from me. So it's been the easiest commute to a conference ever. And then EPPC in June/July. I think they just moved the dates.
Yeah.
So yeah, some good ones coming up.
Okay, so where would people be able to find you to keep up to date with what you're doing and what talks you've got or what content you're putting out?
How good is your cyber stalking?
I was about to say, do you not want to give them the cyber stalking 101, Mark? I would say best place to get me at the moment is LinkedIn. My website is down because it was still a PhD website, so I need to remake it. So I've taken that down. But LinkedIn, best place to get me. That is currently the only place I think anyone can find me. I've taken my GitHub repo off of my LinkedIn because it was a disgrace. I didn't know recently that the tab that says like, "Oh, visit my portfolio" appeared, and I was like, "What's that?" And I realised everyone could see my janky GitHub from like 2022. So
everyone starts somewhere. Everyone has.
True, but we don't need to display it. If you can find it, fair play.
Yeah. So I think with that we will wrap up and say thank you very much for joining us. It's been fun to learn about parasites and shit.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more or talk constantly about animals, you know where to find Melissa, at least. Or us, I guess. But we're not super skilled. We just like animals.
I thought it was a pretty good talk about animals and shit, personally. Most times I've said shit and been recorded, as far as I'm aware, except for maybe Microsoft meetings that I didn't know were being recorded. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. It was really, really fun. I enjoyed it, and I hope to catch you at some conferences.
This is the power